Yo, what's up everybody? It's Jonathan and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a few items that the folks over at PixelAddix sent me out for review. And now these items come from a company that goes by the name of Kamerar, and we're going to be looking at their shoulder mount and their follow focusing system. Now, if at any given point you feel like checking these items out for yourself, you can find that link in the description of this video that will take you over to the PixelAddix website where they have tons of camera gear from many different companies. So if you're not looking for Kamerar equipment, you can find many different other pieces of equipment on their website. The shoulder mount retails for around $210 from the PixelAddix website, and then the follow focusing system comes in around $156, and everything comes neatly packaged as you can see here, so you don't have to worry about anything getting damaged during shipping. Since the follow focusing box has the least amount of objects in it, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick unboxing of it, and the very first thing you're going to find is the follow focusing system right here, and everything is made of metal and very premium. You also get a 0.8 standard module gear ring, so if you're not working with cinema lenses, this will definitely come in handy. Last but not least, you do get an Allen key, and you will be using this, and I'll show you why later on in the video. As far as the shoulder rig is concerned, you get a ton of stuff. 2 trays worth of stuff, to be honest. You get 2 handles, then you get a couple adapters, which I'll show you how to install everything later on. You get the shoulder pad, you get a little base plate to put your camera on, and then you get 2 sets of 15mm rods. Oh, and I almost forgot, you get a couple more Allen keys for loosening and tightening different areas or removing some things, but I've really never used them in the whole time that I reviewed this shoulder rig. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is get the actual plate housing that the camera attaches to. And yes, it is tripod accessible. All you need is a Manfrotto base plate, screw it in on the bottom, and then slide it into your tripod head, and boom, now it's mounted on a tripod. And now the actual housing plate has a little knob on the bottom, and that's how you're going to tighten the camera to this plate. Now, if you take a look at mine, you can see the wheel is a bit damaged, and that's because I actually used a wrench to tighten it, and I'm not telling you to do that, but I could not for the life of me use my fingers to tighten the camera as much as it needed to be tightened. And I think it's more of a design flaw, and I hope when they remake this entire setup, they make it a little bit easier, or maybe be able to use the Allen key to tighten it down. Now, once all that is done, you should have something that looks similar to this. If not, then you might have did something wrong outside of the cage, of course, on mine. Now, next you're going to take the 15mm rods that have the threaded female holes on both sides, and then you're going to want to slide them into the holes that you see on the base plate. Once you have both rods slid in, make sure the length is even, and then tighten them down with the little red knobs that you see on each side of the base plate. Now, you want those rods pretty tight, so make sure you clamp them down so that way there is no wiggle room whatsoever. You also get some 15mm rods that have a threaded male side, and what you can do with these are thread them into the female ones that we just attached, and then you're going to extend that 15mm rod setup. This is actually great if you plan on mounting this to a tripod and then have a matte box and so on and so forth. But for this review, we're going to be mounting the shoulder rig. So with that being said, go ahead and take that offset clamp, attach it to the back side on those 15mm bars and tighten it down. Then attach those threaded male 15mm bars to the offset clamp and tighten them down, and make sure they're about even, and when you tighten it, make sure there is no wiggle room at all. Go ahead and install the shoulder pad next. Make sure everything is lined up and then tighten down both sides. Go ahead and put on whatever lens you're using. In this case, I'm using a 100mm Rokinon Cine lens. And the reason why I installed the lens so early is so that way I could line up my follow focusing system, slide it on the 15mm bar, and then tighten it up in the position that you want it to be in. Once everything is done, you should have something that looks just like this. Now, finally, you're going to mount the 90-degree clamps. So go ahead and tighten them down on each of the ends of the 15mm bars, and then you're going to slide in those handles and tighten those. In this case, I already had them pre-installed, so it was an easy setup. Once everything is done, this is what your shoulder rig should look like, minus my camera cage. Now, later on, I noticed there was actually a threaded hole on top of the chest or shoulder pad, and this was extremely useful for my setup, as I use an articulating arm with an external monitor. But if you wanted to actually offset some of the weight from the front to the back, you could actually mount some type of weighted system back here. So the shoulder pad can actually be adjusted to whatever angle you want, or you can actually tilt it all the way up and use it as a chest pad, depending on the level of comfort that you want, or however you're comfortable with using that shoulder mount. Now, here it is mounted on my wife's shoulder, and as you can see, this is the typical way to use a shoulder rig. And if you didn't want to do it like that, you can flip it up like I said and have it going into your chest or clavicle, and I didn't really find this to be the most stable for my liking, but then again, I don't have a lot of practice in that position. The shoulder rig stabilizes quite well, especially given its price price point, but it's not the most comfortable since most of the weight is on the front and you're using mostly shoulders and biceps to lift it, and whenever you're in an awkward position, your back may hurt the next day. The grips on the handles are actually made of metal, which is awesome for durability, but very bad when it comes to comfort or even just trying to get a great grip. Now they also have different size threaded holes on the handle, so you can mount different things to these as well. The handle can actually be adjusted when it comes to its length with the 90-degree clamp that we installed in the beginning. Once you get it to the length that you want, tighten down that red knob and boom, you're done. So when it comes to the follow focus system, I actually had quite a bit of issues coming straight out of the box. As you can see, it really moves around the camera and the lens whenever you're using it, and then it's really loose. As you can see, it doesn't really hold itself up, and when this happens, you get a lot of gear slippage. Here's an example of what I mean. As I'm trying to actually follow focus, it just stops and the gears loosen up and it doesn't stay in the grooves. What I did to fix this was tighten down the screw on the front with the Allen key, as you see in this clip right here, and once I did that, it actually tightened down the adjustment mechanism, so now when I adjust it, the follow focusing system stays in place. And what that means is the gears themselves are actually staying in place, so whenever you do a focus, everything is nice and smooth and there's no slippage at all. The move cam cage that I was using wasn't designed for this shoulder rig, so once I removed it and attached the camera directly to the base mount, all of that give that I was getting before when using the focusing system pretty much went away. As you can see, everything is much more stable. Oh, and that silver little gear that you see right there can actually be switched from the left or right side to match the length of your lens, and it also comes with a magnetic marking disc, and this is really awesome. You're going to want to use a dry erase marker, or you can use a Sharpie and just remove the Sharpie with a rubbing alcohol pad. In any case, rubbing alcohol will pretty much remove whatever marker you put on here. You're going to mark your beginning focus using the red metal bar at the top of the follow focusing system as a point of interest. Then just rotate the focusing knob and mark your end focus point, again using that red bar as an indicator. Now the only issue with this is whenever you have it mounted on your shoulder, it's really hard to see your focusing point, if not impossible. So it kind of makes the follow focusing system useless unless you actually have a person dedicated for follow focusing. It's also important to add that you can attach a whip or crank to the focusing knob right there, making focus pulls a much easier thing to do. So if you're not working with any cine lenses, instead you have something like this 55mm Zeiss lens here, you're going to want to attach the flexible gear ring, and it's super easy to do. Just make sure everything is tight. You might have a little slack like I have here, and that's okay. And as long as everything is nice and tight and everything lines up correctly, it should twist and spin and focus just like a cine lens would do. Now the excess slack that I had kind of got in the way, but it did not affect performance in any way whatsoever. In fact, I have some sample footage that I'll show you at the end of this video. Now I do know working with Sony lenses, especially this one, it's not necessarily meant for focusing systems because it has the fly-by-wire focusing, meaning everything is done electronically, so it's almost impossible to repeat a focus pull. But with that being said, I was able to get some pretty awesome results. Go ahead and check out the footage here and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I know, I'm going pro this year, guys, you don't have to tell me. I'm just kidding, I'm still trying to learn the ins and outs of this thing, but I'm really looking forward to using it more, and I definitely would recommend it to anybody that wants to step up their camera game a little bit and just get their feet wet with some shoulder rig activity. I'd like to give a huge shout out to PixelAddix again for making this video possible. Make sure you guys check them out for all your camera needs. If you guys aren't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do so you don't miss any future content. Follow me on all my social media connections, and of course, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.